What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. And I know it's been a couple of days since my last upload. I just kind of wanted to take a little break. I didn't want to keep bombarding with uploads. And then I was fortunate enough to be able to get this guy in a trade. So shout out to the person that I traded with. I don't know if he's comfortable with me sharing his information, so I'm not going to do it. But thanks for the, hookup. But kind of one of the main things that I want to start off with, and just before we jump into everything, is I'm super, I would say, surprised. I definitely saw a lot, if not mainly, negative things regarding this figure. I don't really know exactly why, but definitely I saw a lot of negative things. Like I saw a lot of people complain about um, some of the joints, complain about like kind of the head, which in the head compartment, I definitely do think it looks kind of weird. But I mean, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but it's pretty accurate to the No Way Home look. I know some people want them to do the design from the original trilogy from Sam Raimi, but keep in mind that it is definitely it has a different creative design and a creative kind of thought process when they make these movies. But that aside, like I said, I'm pretty surprised, and I mean that in a good way. But as usual, let's jump into the accessories. Okay, and kicking it off here with the accessories, he does come with a lot. And I want to remind people that, in my opinion, again, correct me if I'm wrong, we're all different and stuff. But in regards of like the Maximum Series Spider-Man, right? That one's still doing, waves on the action figure community. But these are the kinds of accessories that I think are like very important to include with your figure. If the Maximum Series Spider-Man would have came with a really good unmasked head and then a good alternative face mask, like I don't know, a different art style or an actual comic, McFarlane-esque accurate head sculpt, I feel like that would have been really good. But these accessories are great. Although I think they might have been able to get rid of one and give us maybe an extra head or maybe a couple more web effects or something else. But overall, I'm pretty happy with what we did get. So I'm kind of gonna turn it to the side here just so it fits in frame. We have some like web holding hands. And then he does have a set of pointing hands, which I really, really like these for, when he's like walking around feeling cocky, feeling himself. Then we have two kind of like salute type hands with the two fingers. And then we have two item holding hands. And then these are kind of, I would say these are more relaxed. And these are, I don't know, they're really whatever you want them to be. And then he does come with an extra kind of loose mask as if he took it off. And then we have the magnetic feet and hands that are typical for Mafex. And then they kind of fell out of the container, but it's the little thing that they use against the lizard in No Way Home to, heal him of the lizard disease or whatever. And then kind of going over here, I took these out already because I took pictures earlier, but these are the web crawling hands or kind of stance hands, like when he's prowled over and stuff. And then we have two thwipping hands. Come on, work with me. There you go. And he does come with two head sculpts that are unmasked. Personally, I like the smiling one better as I think it looks more accurate. But he has this one, which is really nice in my opinion. It's really well painted. Overall, it has kind of like that little double chin that he has. So it's really accurate to Tobey Maguire. And then he does come with this, smiling head. And I don't really know what scenes these are from, but they're really good. But let's move on. Okay, so one of the first things I said at the start of the video was I was a little bit surprised. I didn't really mean that in a negative connotation. It's just I saw a lot of negative things in regard to the figure. Like one of the things that I saw was that it had a lot of gapping issues, which in certain instances it definitely does. Like that looks very weird, but I can't really say that you're ever going to have it in this position, you know what I mean? But due to these gapping issues, you're able to get some crazy stuff. Like that's pretty much all the way across. Like, that's insane. I don't think there's a single Spider-Man action figure out there besides Rebel Tech, but that's, that's kind of a given, that can do something like this, especially from Mafex. Like, all the Mafex Spider-Mans are pretty good, but I think that this one has just kind of pushed that envelope. And I want to say that the shading work is one of the, like, things that is very, very how would you say, like, one of the best things about this figure. It has a lot of good shading work, which is kind of not super kind of like a Mafex thing, right? A lot of their figures sometimes, for better or for worse, lack that kind of shading, right? And I feel like they definitely gave this Tobey Maguire suit, a lot of love. And I'll say, like, just straight up, while we're on the topic of the aesthetic of the figure, it definitely has that more Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 1 look to it, where he has the broader shoulders, he's big, he's like superhero shaped, you know, kind of like in the video game also, or like everyone's kind of comparing it to the old Toy Biz. And one of the best ones that I've seen is like if Toy Biz and the SHF one, were combined, and that's kind of what we're getting here. And I definitely agree with that sentiment. But I think we're getting probably the best articulation so far of all of them. Um, and kind of just real quick to go over the articulation real fast. That's what you're getting with the head, that much down, and then remember you have the joint that you can flip either way to get more front or more back, and then tilt. Very good, just really, really amazing articulation as expected for Mafex. You're gonna get about that high, and then for going back, this is also insane. Like, that's just crazy to me, man. Like, why is he able to get his hands so far back? Like, I don't even know a pose that you would need that, but you're able to do it. And that's, what the point of these reviews are, to give you what it is and not what we would want, or kind of, in a hypothetical scenario. And then just the upper torso alone is really good, really solid, feels very, very smooth. And then with the combination, you're going to get those really far back poses, and then really good ab crunch as well. And then kind of one of the things that I also seen is, so we do have the drop down, and pretty much with the combination of the torso and the leg, like, you're going to get some insane range. Like, he is doing the full on, like, touch. His toe is past his head. That's kind of one of the most important things when it comes to an amazingly articulated Spider-Man figure. And then, going out, he's also, not going to be missing anything. He's going to go out really far. And then double knees, really good. Kind of showed it already. But then the toes, up that much, down that much, and then crazy rocker. But, like, one of the things that I would say is kind of disrespectful is that, like, people have been comparing this to the Maximum Series Spider-Man. And don't get me wrong, I think the price is BS on that figure, but I would definitely say that it's a pretty solid Spider-Man. Like, if you're not willing to throw down the, $90 to $100 for one of these figures, or you just really like that figure, whatever, like I said, we're not here to judge. I just definitely think that it's very unfair to the Marvel Legends to be comparing it to something of the likes of Mafex. I mean, like, just, you're not going to be able to get a pose as smoothly and as smooth looking. Like, it doesn't matter how much you've used that Marvel Legends Spider-Man, you're not going to be able to get something like this. It's just not possible. And it's like, I don't want to go on a rant or anything, but it's just one of those things that is very frustrating when it comes to, the action figure community. It's just some people are hard-headed like that, but it is what it is. You can't change people. But as you can see, I'm just in here, posing this figure up, getting in some really nice poses, and it's just, phenomenal. I love this figure. I did trade the Mafex 2099, and I got to say that I definitely am happy with that trade. And, the person I traded with, I hope it's the same way. So, just putting in some, kind of random poses. And it's just one of those things that it's just amazing. I love this freaking figure, and I'm super happy with it. But without further ado, let's jump into some size comparisons. Okay, so starting off the size comparisons, we have the SHF Venom from the Let There Be Carnage series. This isn't the. I want to say they only did the Venom then, but whatever. Obviously, I've repainted mine, and it is the official SHF, so you're getting the real size there. And then here on the left, we have the SH Figuarts Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. And I want to say that this guy was a like Tamashi Web exclusive or something like that, but correct me down in the comments if I'm wrong about that. And then we have the Ben Reilly Spider-Man. I want to say it's Astonishing Spider-Man, but I could be wrong. And one of the things that people were saying was that he's really small, and kind of, as you can see here, compared with other Spider-Man and other Spider-Man-like figures, I feel like it fits in pretty well. So, take that for what you will. Okay, and kind of a shotgun blast of action figures here. Really random. Starting from the right, we have the Into the Spider-Verse Spider-Man. This is the Peter B. Parker version from Mafex. So, again, he's a little bit taller, but honestly, like I said, it doesn't really bother me. Then we have the Jack Specific Sonic 3 Shadow figure, which, he's taller than that. So, again, it's really not a big deal for me, but if it's one of those things, I just want to point it out. That way, if you guys are kind of have a knack for that, then you know what you're getting into. And then here we have a 1/18 scale Ultramarine from Joy Toy, and then we have an SH Figuarts Vegeta. And like I said, really really nice scale for me personally, and I freaking love this figure, man. All right, guys. Now, kind of wrapping up the video, I just wanted to say that I definitely like everything about this figure. I think overall, there's some things that were being said online that I don't think really are reflective on the actual product. And if you guys have watched any of my videos talking about collecting action figures and kind of being careful with the internet, one of the most important things is just watching videos on it and making your own kind of analysis of the figure. And I know it's hard to do that when it's just video format and pictures, but that's kind of, the only way to do it unless you actually see the figure in person or are able to use it. And I'm definitely going to go ahead and say that being a skeptic of this figure, just because of what I was reading online, I'm definitely thoroughly surprised. And one of the biggest things that I want to say is that color wise and overall aesthetic wise, it's a lot closer to that Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 1 look. I feel like the No Way Home was pretty close to the Spider-Man 3 when it came to like kind of I feel like they toned down the colors of the movie, and it was a much different like vibe, I feel, the third one. But let me know what you guys think in regards to that. But in regards to the figure, it's definitely a lot more vibrant than the SH Figuarts one, and I feel like overall everything is a little bit better. And one is SH Figuarts and one is Mafex. So in my opinion, I think Mafex has always had the better quality in regards to the figures that they produce. Um, but if you guys are on the fence between the SHF and this one, I would definitely say that this one is better. And for a couple bucks more, I think you're getting a lot more. You're getting more hands. I feel like the portraits of Tobey Maguire are a lot better. And then, like I said, the colors and the overall physique, the muscles, and kind of everything about the figure is just better. The SHF one is really good as well, articulation wise, and kind of quality wise. But in regards to aesthetic, I feel like it's definitely not as good as this one. But I'm not gonna keep going on. Kind of final rating, I would definitely give it like a solid 8.5 out of 10. Um, I feel like I just don't like the mask head sculpt. It's just kind of off from what I'm accustomed to when it comes to that Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man 2 look. But I got to remember that this is based off the No Way Home. But let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys like the video. As always, if you guys could drop a like, drop a sub or, share the video if you're interested in doing that. It always helps the channel, and I'm very appreciative of it. But without further ado, y'all have a good day. Peace.